Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes, o buenas noches. My name is Nate, and I am a Spanish teacher from Southern California. And today we're going to be analizando el español de Will Smith. Now, we're not going to get into the whole Chris Rock thing. I'm going to let you think whatever you want to think about that. But we are going to be talking about his Spanish today. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to see me do more videos like this, leave me a comment down below letting me know whose Spanish you'd like for me to analyze next. Vamos a darle. Alright, so today's video is Will Smith promoting the movie After Earth in Spanish. It's a 37-second clip. Let's take a look.
Para los latinos, ¿por qué todo el mundo debería de ver After Earth?
Oh, okay. La película basada 1000 años en el...
Like, you know what? First of all, shout out to Will for at least giving it a go. Like, I always have a lot of respect for people who are learning Spanish and just go for it on live television. Mad respect. So basically, this interviewer says, you know, why should Latinos go and see this movie? And then he basically just starts saying, oh, this is what the movie's about. I don't know if he's necessarily responding to the guy's question, but anyways.
Y tengo miedo porque necesito practicar más mi español.
What a legend, what a legend. I am legend.
Pero la película tiene acción y...
Okay, first thing I'd like to say is at least, I mean, he can still express what he's trying to say. Clearly, his accent isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. Something I'd like to say, if you're learning Spanish and you want to improve your accent, I can't stress the importance enough of properly pronouncing the vowel sounds in Spanish. If you get those down, your accent is going to sound much more native. So that would be A, E, I, O, U. If you can combine that with speaking slowly and listening to a lot of audio in Spanish, over time, your accent is going to get very, very good.
Efectos especiales, pero la película es de un padre y de un hijo.
Actually, he's speaking quite, like, quickly, too, so that's quite nice.
¿Cómo se dice? De sobre... to survive. Sobrevivir, sí, gracias. Gracias.
Love that. Okay, also, I love the, once again,
¿Cómo se dice? De
right there, he says, ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? I love that. I love when people can have the humility to say, how do you say this? Especially when they're on live TV. I have a lot of respect for that because I know, right, a lot of us as Spanish learners really struggle with confidence and nervousness when speaking Spanish. And sometimes we're a little bit too embarrassed to say something like this. So the fact that he said that is really cool. Now, let's talk about that phrase, ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice is translated into English as how do you say? But in Spanish, ¿Cómo se dice literally means how does one say. This is a really, really interesting idea in the Spanish language, and I highly recommend that you look up an article, or you can learn about this in my Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy, about the passive and impersonal se, S-E, in Spanish. It confuses a lot of Spanish learners, but that's a really good thing to know.
sobre to survive. Sobrevivir. Sobrevivir, sí.
So there you go. To survive, sobrevivir, and then to live, vivir. Okay? Also, another thing, when we pronounce our V's in Spanish, oftentimes we pronounce them more like a B. Now, I'll say it's not necessarily a hard B sound all the time. It's more of a softer B sound. But that is something that's also going to help your accent, is pronouncing your V's like B's and not like Z. So it's V instead of so it's kind of silly, but that'll help your accent as well. Okay, so that was a nice little clip of Will speaking Spanish. It seems like he did a good job. Let's move on to a longer clip and analyze his Spanish there.
Gracias, gracias. Estoy muy contento de estar aquí.
Okay, he says, estoy muy contento estar aquí. Maybe better to say, estoy contento de estar aquí. Okay, I recommend you look up how to use prepositions in Spanish, but estoy muy contento de estar aquí. I'm very happy to be here.
Estoy muy contento de estar aquí. Es mi primera vez aquí.
So he says mi primera vez aquí. Perfect. The way he says primera sounds like saying primera. Okay? So once again, a lot of times when I analyze celebrities speaking Spanish, the things that they'll struggle with is maybe the accent, the genders, so confusing masculine and feminine words. the use of prepositions like we just saw, it's actually quite interesting how common those mistakes are. But once again, like I said, when you're speaking Spanish, if you want to have a better accent, slow down and focus on your vowel sounds. Really important. Are you tired of just being able to say, una cerveza, por favor? Are you tired of watching Nacho Libre and thinking, man, I wish I could speak Spanish? Well, you don't have to be that person anymore, because I can teach you how to speak fluent Spanish at my website, SpanishWithNate.com. So if you want to learn Spanish with a handsome, scrappy young gringo just like me, then check it out.
En Argentina y me encanta Buenos Aires.
Beautiful. That's a fantastic job. Me encanta Buenos Aires. A lot of us as Spanish learners struggle with that, right? Me gusta, me gustan, les gustan, whatever. A lot of times we struggle with words that work like that, right? But he did a beautiful job there. Me encanta Buenos Aires. And it seems like he can really hold his own. He can talk about basic concepts in Spanish, and it's better than most people, so really impressive.
Fuimos a un partido de polo.
Cool.
Let me see. Okay. Necesito practicar más.
No, está muy bien.
Muy bien. Gracias. La natividad, el partido de polo con la natividad, y me encanta la comida aquí. Tome Malbec.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you don't know, Malbec is a very famous wine in Mexico. So yeah, he did a great job there. He even used the word tomar in that situation. So tomar in Spanish can mean to take or to drink. So in that case, he says tomé Malbec. I drank Malbec. So he did a fantastic job with that. It seems like actually his Spanish fundamentals are pretty solid.
Malbec, tomé Malbec y mate. Mate.
Sí.
Mate. Okay, also interesting, right? He says mate when it should be mate. Okay, that's another thing, right, that sometimes we'll struggle with when we're learning Spanish is this idea of accents. Some words in Spanish, believe it or not, have accents even when the pronunciation doesn't change. For example, the word sí, okay? We have two words that we say sí, okay? We have sí and sí. Two different words, okay? Pronounced exactly the same, and you know the difference between the two based off of context, but sí with an accent on it means yes, and sí without an accent on it means if, okay? Now, this isn't the case in the majority of situations, but it is something that happens, okay? So right there, he should have said mate instead of mate. Because when he says mate, that sounds like he's saying I killed, right? Coming from the verb matar, to kill.
And estoy muy contento de estar aquí en San Telmo, el gran barrio de tango.
I love that. I mean, it seems like he's doing a really good job, honestly. He's el gran barrio de tango. I mean, that's really good.
Las mujeres de Buenos Aires son muy inteligentes. Sí.
Okay, he says las mujeres. Okay, it should be las mujeres. Slight error, no big deal.
Llegué hace 5 días y...
That's great. Honestly, he is doing a really good job, actually. Like, his fundamentals are pretty dang solid. Like, of course, he has, like, we'll say a semi-strong accent, but he's doing a really good job. Even right there where he just said, llegué, right? That is so interesting because in Argentina, that double L sound makes it kind of shh, right? For example, instead of saying pollo, se dice pollo. Pollo, okay? It's kind of how in Argentina they speak. And of course, within Argentina, there are various dialects.
Hace 5 días y trabajé en la calle ayer.
Like, listen to that. Trabajé en la calle ayer. I love it, man, but it makes sense.
Y la gente son muy fantástico. Y
Okay, so he says, la gente son muy fantástico. If he wanted to say this, it would better to be say, la gente es fantástica. Es muy fantástica. Which honestly sounds kind of weird, but in my mind, but I would say, la gente es muy buena onda.
Quiero decir gracias a la gente y estoy listo
Sí.
muy nervoso. Nervoso.
Yeah, so nervoso, right? He means to say nervioso. And totally normal to be nervous. Like I said, if you're learning Spanish, don't worry about people judging you or feeling uncomfortable in speaking Spanish. It's so normal. It's one of the biggest struggles that my Spanish students have is feeling unconfident and nervous when speaking Spanish. I always tell students, it's like preparing for a presentation, okay? There's always gonna be, little jitters and everything, but the more and more you practice, the more and more you speak, the more and more confident you're going to become, and it's going to be less of this big ordeal. Now that I've been learning Spanish for 9 years and speaking it very, very frequently, my confidence is very high because I know that while I have an advanced Spanish, I still accept the fact that I'm going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Don't worry, just the more and more you speak, the better and more confident you're going to become.
Okay,
Está perfecto.
Mi corazón,
Muy bien.
mi corazón.
Es Buenos Aires que te
No
haces.
quiero to sound estúpido.
No está.
So he says, no quiero sound stupid. He says, I don't want to sound stupid. No quiero sonar estúpido. Yeah, I mean, this is something that we struggle with. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about, why do we say like we know it's good to make mistakes, but we hate making mistakes? And we were talking about this idea of, when you make mistakes, you're vulnerable, right? And you might look dumb, and maybe inside you worry that you won't be accepted and loved by other people, right? Kind of this deep psychoanalysis here, but you have to understand that when you're learning Spanish and you're putting yourself out there and speaking with people, 99% of the time, people are going to want to help you, and people will be respectful and have respect for you for learning their native language. So, of course, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna sound maybe a little silly, but that's totally normal. I mean, even me, right, analyzing Will Smith's Spanish, I'm really trying not to be critical or mean or rude because I understand that he is learning the Spanish language. And like I said, he's doing a fantastic job, especially the fact that he can put himself out there on TV is really, really respectable. All right, let's take a look at one last clip here, just really quick. We won't do the whole thing.
Bienvenido.
Gracias.
Also, this is just something interesting I'd like to note. The word bienvenido, okay? When we say bienvenidos, we're talking to a group of people, okay? It could be all males, could be males and females, okay? If it's only females, we'll say bienvenidas, okay? But because Will is a singular male, we'll say bienvenido. If he was a woman, we would say bienvenida, okay? Kind of interesting.
Will, me encanta que hablas español y sobre todo lo entiendes mejor todavía. Así que yo te voy a preguntar en español y tú trata de contestarme en español y cuando no puedas, pues...
She's speaking very quickly, and okay, of course, right, as someone who's been learning Spanish for a long time, I understand her perfectly, but think about this guy. Like, if some lady, first of all, you're nervous, you're on live television, and then all of a sudden this lady is speaking super fast, he's just sitting there like, bruh.
Hablo un poquito, pero no entiendo mucho. Es difícil.
So like right then he says he's like, hey, yeah, I speak a little bit, but I don't understand super well. Also he says entiendo. It should just be entiendo. Once again, small little mistakes, no big deal.
Pero vamos a tratar.
Y te voy a preguntar bien despacio. Antes que nada, sé que lo aprendiste en la escuela.
Like right there, she literally says, oh yeah, I'm gonna go slow. And then she just goes, bah.
En escuela, they learn Spanish in school, right?
Sí.
Yeah, en mi escuela. Y tengo una maestra de español que viaje conmigo para mi
Oh, wow.
entrevistas.
Importante porque ahora todas las grandes estrellas están visitando a la televisión hispana como tú aquí hoy para promover sus películas. Es un mercado importante, el mercado hispano.
Muy importante, creo que...
He also says, like an English filler word. I feel like I do that too.
En los Estados Unidos la gente habla una idioma, pero todas las países del mundo la gente habla dos o tres idiomas.
So he says, la gente habla. Beautiful, perfect. A lot of times people make the mistake of making la gente plural. So, for example, la gente hablan. Okay, that would be wrong. It would be la gente habla. Once again, it's so interesting. La gente, for whatever reason, seems to always come up in these videos, and it's a very confusing word. So just remember, la gente means people, but we treat it as if it were singular. So we would say la gente habla instead of la gente habla. So he says, la gente habla una idioma. Idioma is a tricky word, and it's actually masculine. So it's going to be la gente habla un idioma. Then he says pera, just accidentally, no big deal. So he might say pero, which he does, but pera means pear, just so you know, pera. the fruit, pera.
Pero todas las países.
This is todas las países. It should be todos los países. No big deal. Once again, like I said, typically in these videos, people struggle with the accent, prepositions, and then the gender of words. So, no big deal though.
Del mundo la gente habla 2 o 3 idiomas. So.
Also, a lot of times I see other celebrities saying things like lenguajes or lenguas. So it's pretty cool that he's saying idiomas here. But anyways, there you have it. There is Will Smith speaking Spanish. Honestamente, Will hace un muy buen trabajo. Felicidades, Will. Lo haces chido, mi amigo. Y ya, eso es todo. Si te gustó el video, por favor, dale un like y también suscríbete ya para que veas más videos chidos así como este. Y ahí nos vemos en el próximo. Adiós.